Please remember our guidelines, one question at a time, no requests for hugs or arm wrestling or anything like that, and try to limit it to like 1 minute, and we'll sort of go rest from there. Are you ready for our next guest? He is an actor and former Mr. Universe and Reserve Law Enforcement Officer. Since 1977, he has become synonymous with the Incredible Hulk, a role he has returned to in various animation projects. Please welcome Lou Ferrigno!
Good morning. So cold here. I want to move to Florida. How you guys doing? Good. You know Nancy, do you? She's the moderator now.
Hi, everyone. How are you doing today?
I'm good. My chair's rocking back and forth.
Uh-oh.
I
That's
don't
all
want
right.
to collapse on stage.
No, I think you'll be fine. I feel like you'll land solid. Yeah. So I want to get right to it. I want to get to our questions. So like we were just told, make sure you start thinking about your questions, line up, and we will get to you. But I do want to start with the Incredible Hulk. There have been so many iterations of the Hulk since your Hulk, but for so many fans, yours is the ultimate version. What do you think, what is it about your iteration of the Hulk that keeps fans so protective of that character?
Well, you got to remember back then when I did the Hulk, it's very organic, authentic, and it's real, the OG Hulk. But every episode had a laser compelling message about life. So when you watch the show, it's like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde fashion, and you learn from the show because that's why it got legs. Because, like for example, the original Star Trek, Twilight Zone goes on for years and years and years. But it's funny, at the time when I did the pilot for the Hulk, Captain America, Spider-Man failed at the TV series. So the Hulk now is the pioneer to open all the doors now for the end game, the Marvel Universe, and we have all these A-list actors playing different characters. But every one of us has a superhero inside of us. We connect with the Hulk. We express better when we see the Hulk. All the things the Hulk does, those are the things we want to do in real life. Smashing cars, phone booths, window. So.
What do you think is something, or is there anything that people misunderstand about your Hulk?
About the role? The fact that people at the beginning thought it was a monster, the creature, because of my sensitivity I show through the makeup, because it's called pantomime, that means acting without speaking. But the interesting about the show, it shows you that the fashion, especially the mind gets twisted, and then the fact that it's almost like, besides being Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, it's almost the fact that it's a good side of him, because a lot of villains, they do hateful things, bad things, but the Hulk was a good creature. But people get confused because, you know, when the movie first came out, the pilot came out before it went on the air, they said the Hulk is a monster with a beetle fight wig that amounts to nothing. That was the critic. But now you get to see the show. Even myself, even when I watch it today, you learn from it. Yeah. Especially see Bill Bixby, you want to bring him in your house, and especially he's so tormented with his mind dealing with the gamma ray.
Yeah. So your version of the Hulk is, as you mentioned, the realistic, you are not a CGI incarnation, you're not wearing a suit, it is you. How is that, besides that factor, what else is different about your Hulk compared to the other versions that we've seen since?
He's the only one that has no clothes on. Every time you do that, David Banner, Bill Bixby, when you change back with the Hulk, it was always in somebody's backyard wearing a pair of pants hanging on the other. So the different version about the Hulk, the fact that it was a sensitive creature, and it was embraced by every country in the world because it's green. So every country in the world embraced the Hulk because even if you watch it without sound, anything, you connect with it. Because we want to express, we want to show you how that connection.
I never thought about it that way, yeah. You connect with the character, and like you said, you do things that we really do want to do. We talked about this a little bit backstage. I do want to bring up your comedic roles, starting with I Love You Man. Personally, it's one of my favorites. You know, people think of you as the bodybuilder, the Hulk, but you have amazing comedic timing. And of course, in your arc in King of Queens, talk to us about your journey through comedy.
Well, what's interesting is that when I've done the Hulk series, I've done other films too, like Hercules, Sinbad, but then one time I did a movie called The Godson with Roger Dangerfield. And the producers were watching, they said, why not have Lou on the show, King and Queen, for one episode? So then when I did the one episode, it became a recurring role. But at the time when it happened, I realized it's a sitcom in front of a live audience. You don't get it to do take after take after take, maybe one or two. But it came natural to me because the fact that I like to connect with the audience. But the greatest thing about the King and Queen, that we're working with these iconic actors, they're so stuck doing in real life, but on the screen, I mean, they come to life. So when you get that connection with the audience, the feedback, it generates excitement, and comedy is hard to do. So what happened though, they wanted me to play myself. I said, sure, why not? Because every day, you know, people say, make Hulk jokes and everything. But when I first did it, was very natural. It was good for me because the fact that I like being funny, I like cracking jokes. But it's interesting when you're in front of a live audience, like over 100 people, it's so exciting because you do a feature film, you don't get to see the result months later.
Yeah, the instant feedback. Yeah. So in I Love You, Man, we see what is supposed to be your home, and there is a giant Lou Ferrigno statue. Did you get to keep that statue after the film?
I have the smaller version.
You know, the small version.
I put a big statue in my house.
You can. You're Lou Ferrigno. You can.
Thank you.
100%. I want to also talk about your other acting ambitions. You started off in the bodybuilding world, it led to other things, and now you have developed this career that you've done comedy, you've done drama. You were recently in The Offer, which was amazing, and you did your first horror film as a cannibalistic pig farmer.
Yes, he makes beef jerky out of people. It's called The Hermit, it's like a Hannibal Lecter in the wood. When they first gave me the script, I was attracted to the character because it's different from the Hulk, because especially with this guy, he lives in the woods and his mother was a witch. So he's possessed by his mother. So she passes on, he's possessed to do the things the mother's done, you know, making beef jerkies out of people. And either one guy wants to be left alone in the woods. So you see these young girls, these young guys, they go on a camping trip, they get lost, and they find him, and then the rest of us in cat and mouse game, they really piss this guy off. And then when you start to see the movie, it's a brutal horror movie, like The Walking Dead. Good people like that kind of stuff, the genre about, you see the evil side. But it was fun for me because I had to wear long hair down to my shoulders like you, and then the long beard, everything, and I get to show a different side of my acting, playing this hideous, angry, cannibalistic pig farmer.
Do you have a genre that you prefer to perform in? A genre? Comedy, drama?
You know, I like doing everything. I miss doing comedy because comedy I enjoy it because of the fact that I've done it for 7 years. I miss doing it, but drama is so different because it's very you have to really take your time. Yep. Every movie's different actors you work with. But horror is something different because you have to go deep into the character. So we filmed in Syracuse, probably like 95-degree weather. So I had jeans on, you know, the suspenders and the whole outfit. But it's very interesting.
I'm definitely going to check that one out. Has it come out yet?
No, after Thanksgiving.
After Thanksgiving. It's on my list, definitely. Talk to us about the things that you overcame. You overcame hearing impairment, you overcame bullying. I know you've talked about, you know, you were told once as a child that you would never amount to anything. What was the defining moment that shifted your perspective that led you onto the journey that you are in now?
Well, close to birth, I lost like 85% of my hearing. I had an ear infection, and I had a severe speech impediment. Still, I had a very severe love-and-hate relationship with my father. My father, I had to carry his pain because I was not the perfect son. He always said if you had your hearing, you this and that stuff, it's very negative. So in life, you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your parents. So for me, I decided that I used to read comic books to escape the pain, like the Hulk, Superman, because it's all about power. And then one time I was trading comic books. I found these Muslim magazines. Then I saw the original Hercules, and I realized that I like to work out with ways to build strength, to protect myself. That became my passion. Then that was my journey to get into fitness. But even the naysayers back then, everybody laughs that Lou does big comic books. He did. He talked about barbell, dumbbells, and food. Everybody laughed at me, but I didn't care because it was like an antidote to make me feel better about myself. So the more I kept to it, I got involved in competition, winning world championship, bodybuilding championship competition. And then after I did the movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Pumping Iron, that changed everything, and then went to the mainstream, and then led to acting and everything. It's all about how much you believe in yourself, because in life, you know, all of us, we have a passion about ourselves. You have to embrace that passion, because if you don't, you're kind of like lost at the sea. But the great thing about passion, if you love something, I don't care what it is, has to do with shoe, music, painting, stuff like that. It's all about competing with yourself. That's what I've learned. But the point is, I got to a point, I didn't want to feel sorry for myself. I had to work harder than the average person to succeed, because nobody's going to pat you on the back and give you the confidence and overcome the fear. You have to give it to yourself. So I took small steps, and my discipline, so that continued the journey to be where I am now.
So, yes. Thank you for coming to his TED Talk. So, do you have a quote or a mantra that you live by?
Health is your greatest wealth. You only live once, you can't take nothing with you. So that's why my best advice, look for the best in people. Keep the naysayers to a minimum. Enjoy your life every day, especially have a healthy mind, healthy body, and then take care of yourself. I don't care what limitations you have. It's all about competing with yourself, giving yourself personal power. It's never too late to change your body or change your lifestyle or change your own experience. It's all about how you deal with yourself.
So your journey in fitness, obviously there's a discipline involved in that for the physical health side of things. What do you do for your mental health to keep that strength?
Well, you have to have a positive support group. At the same time, write down your fears. The things you don't want to do, the things you want to do. But the most important thing for mental health, you can't let anything distract you. Like when I go to the gym, all I think about is focusing on working out. But as far as to strengthen your mental health, you got to appreciate the qualities you have and your personal power. And be able to do that on a basis, like nobody's perfect, everybody's handicapped one way or another, emotionally, physically, mentally, and spiritually. But the most important thing about the mental issue is the fact that you have to tell yourself only you can take action for yourself. You have to listen to your heart, the heart feel. If you're able to do that over time, take small steps, the fear gets less and less. Like, you know what the biggest fear in life is? Public speaking. People would jump out of a plane before they could speak in front of an audience. That was my biggest fear in life when I was young. I was afraid to talk to anyone because they would say, because he talks funny, you sound like you're from another country, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is, I changed all that. You could change anything about yourself. But you gotta have a positive support group. If you don't, if you're in a negative environment, then you need to take action. Nobody can take action for you because action speaks louder than words. Every one of us, we have that negative voice. That's why many times you see individuals at home, they're praying, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. On the outside world, they can't take action. They don't talk, 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 talk. I don't believe in talk, talk, talk. I believe like taking action for yourself. Any dreams you have a vision, short-term vision, long-term vision. If you want to go after something, do what it takes.
Amen. Amen. Ooh. Wasn't expecting to hear all these things. Amazing. I gotta hear more of your motivational speeches. The fans have loved you for years. You love engaging with the fans. I know that you love doing these conventions. Is there a particular fan interaction that sticks with you that made you realize the impact you have on the fandom?
Well, I've seen people over the years, sometimes they come to me, they say, I've lost like 40, 50 pounds. Since I've seen you, my life changed. But the most important thing is that what's nice about these kind of shows, people from all walks of life come to the show. And especially how my show affected their life. Especially, it's kind of like positive reinforcement. It's nice to see when they tell me about a certain episode that affected them. Like mothers hated me because the kid got green makeup on the couch, breaking walls, smashing TV. You know, that goes with that too. But we're talking about 3 generations. which is great. But everybody likes the OG Hulk. The new Incredible Hulk, it's not bad, but the thing is that you have all this CGI and everything. That I think is being dominated.
Yeah, I agree. Do you have a question? Are you in line for a question?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize. My bad. So let's go ahead and throw it to the audience. Tell us your name and what's your question?
Hi Lou, my name is Diego. It's so nice to see you in person. You've made my wife and I laugh so much on King of Queens, especially your interactions with Arthur. I just wanted to ask you what it was like to work with Jerry Stiller and if you have any funny stories about working with him.
Well, it's funny when you work with Kevin James and he's actually basically been rehearsing. It's very subdued, but the thing is that it's amazing because Kevin James, he used to play football, involved in wrestling. I mean, he's hilarious. He's very funny. But with these guys, you put them in front of a TV, I mean, they come to life. But most comedians are very subdued because basically people expect them to be funny 24/7. But they have that quality. I enjoyed being with them like family. And then, you know, Kevin, I've been to his wedding. I know him before he had his kid and his wife. He's a very dear and wonderful gentleman.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your question. So what's your name?
Hi Lou, I'm Ryan. I just remember as a young kid being about 3 years old watching The Incredible Hulk and running around my house, like you were saying, hulking out. And then I was impressed with your bodybuilding career, being a competitive bodybuilder in the movie Pumping Iron. My question was, how did you get involved from being a bodybuilder to the Incredible Hulk TV show?
Well, I trained for the 1977 Mr. Olympia competition, so 6 weeks before, I received a phone call. They were shooting the pilot of the Hulk. At the time, they used another actor named Richard Kiel who played George in James Bond. He was 7'3". And the director came on the set with his son. The boy said to dad, he said, this is not the Hulk. He's not, you know, the muscle like in the character of the comic book, because Richard Kiel was a tall, thin guy. They were talking about Shelf and the pilot. They gave it a chance to do a nationwide casting call. I remember I received a phone call that said we have an audition for the Incredible Hulk pilot. I said to myself, wait a minute, it can't be true because I used to be Hulk comic book, and I know they had Marvel characters that were interested in for television. So I went down for the screen time. Of course, I got painted green, but I show all the movement and acting like the character. So the next day, I'm hired, and the rest was history.
Awesome.
Thank you for your question. Tell us your name, and I'd love to know your buddy's name.
My name is Nick, this is Roman, and neither one of us want to make you angry.
Good idea.
What was the most difficult thing about playing the Hulk?
Doing all my stunts. For example, if I had to do a jumping scene from a second floor of a house, you gotta remember I wore the contact lens on the show with peephole vision. So I couldn't see, so basically I had to do all my own stunts because there was nobody else that could duplicate my body, because back then, you had to do your own stunt, because otherwise the audience would know the difference. So the jumping scene, out of the window, crashing, those are more difficult because I want to end up hurting myself. Whenever you do a breakaway scene, go through a window or a wall, you gotta keep the movement. You can't stop because, you know, you can cut yourself. Even though they use hard sugar for the window, you have the little one use the speed. So from one time I did a scene, I had to jump from a second floor of a large house, and I had to hold the stunt woman. It was an actress. And I had to stand there basically, so when it came to the action scene, I had to jump forward like I'm jumping from the roof of a house. So they had this big canvas. And I remember standing there and I literally froze. I was scared. So there were 25 people holding that big canvas like the fireman used. So Bill Bixby, the other actor, came and started screaming. He said, "You're a jump, we're gonna lose $35,000 and whole production fee." He said, "You son of a," he said, "Jump, jump." I remember I just jumped. I don't know what happened, I just jumped in the air. I remember I just landed on the canvas. I was concerned about crushing the woman because when you land on the canvas, you're in a very crushed position. It worked beautifully, but I was happy I did that because it's difficult because I have a fear of height. And that guy's claustrophobic, but in that situation I didn't have a choice, so I had to do it myself.
Thank you so much for your question.
Thank you for being an overcomer and showing us to overcome.
Thank you.
100%. What's your name? What's your question?
Hi Lou, my name is Al. You were an inspiration to us as kids in the 80s with the Hulk and the Hercules movies, so thank you for that. My question is, Pumping Iron, it looks like you and Arnold had a big rivalry at the time. Do you guys still have that rivalry? Did you become friends? Because it looks like Arnold was like the bully, the big bully in town, but also kind of friendly and just a jokester.
Well, I know Arnold practically my whole life because in Pumping Iron, of course, you want to win the competition. So Arnold knew I wasn't in my best shape, that he would use his wine trick. He used a lot of it for the film. And you got to remember, exactly 50 years ago we made the film. I'm 73, I'm 23. But the interesting thing about the film is the fact that he was my idol at the same time. I wanted to defeat him because it was the two best in the world. But we had to fly all the way to South Africa to make this film. And especially when you fly for like 20-some hours and you can't eat the food you want to eat, you're dieting and training. It was quite an experience because I went to Arnold's house about 8 months ago to play chess. We're still friends. But when you're in competition, the best man wins. But I learned a lot from him, especially when he's an immigrant from another country, what he had to overcome. Because his father was chief of police, and he was ridiculed when he was young too. So both of us, that's why we had to be successful, because we don't want to be condoned being told that we're amount to nothing of the way we look.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I do want to ask you, as many of you have already said, you're a beloved figure in fan culture. You mentioned that you read the comics as a kid. Besides bodybuilding and the comic characters that you fell in love with, what do you nerd out about? Is there something that you are a total nerd about? We're a nerd for you. What are you a nerd for? Do you have a particular character besides the Hulk that you're a huge fan of, or a franchise, or is there anything
I was a huge fan of Superman. Because X-ray vision, and then you got to remember, when I was my age, when I was very young, I used to read comic books my whole life. But what I learned more than anything is that superhero quality you have inside, and you tap that, because when you read the different comics, different characters, that's why people love villains, like the original Frankenstein. What really changed my life, I remember one time my father took me to a movie called Hercules, CV. It was made in like 1952, 53. When I saw him stand between the two pillars, I said, that's what I want to be. And I ended up playing Hercules myself. But the thing is, it's all about power. And I was able to use that power for myself, to transmit to myself, and then take the high road. In life, you got to take the high road.
Definitely, especially nowadays, right? How do you think your hearing loss shaped how you performed Hulk, which was, mostly nonverbal and, just making noises as opposed to straight dialogue? How do you think that shaped your performance?
Well, when I began the Hulk, I had no acting experience, So I knew with pantomime, showing emotion without speaking. But everyone thought at the time on the set, everyone thought it was a short-lived career. They thought after the series, I ended up maybe find a regular job. But in my situation, I wanted to change my speech. I used to put marbles on my mouth to learn how to speak correctly. I studied with a speech pathologist. About 3.5 years ago, I received a cochlear implant. I've worked 2 hearing aids my whole life. That's why older people, when they lose their hearing, then we have now a cochlear implant, and you can restore your hearing. So for me, I've worked the best with myself to build this brand, Lou Ferrigno, and I've done theater, stage play. Because back then, people get the impression you have a hearing loss. They think that you're not good enough, especially somebody that can't walk, they're handicapped. But now Hollywood has changed everything. They accepted diversity. But with me, if I had perfect hearing, I wouldn't be where I am now. But because I had a hearing loss and a speech impediment, it made me who I am today. Because, every one of us, you want to be the best you can be. So that's my gift I gave for myself. It's the fact that never feel sorry for yourself. And that's why since the whole series, over the time, I've kind of improved. I've done over 50 films. And I've done plays because everybody said to me the thing that I couldn't do, I've done. I love challenges. I love taking risks. You have to, because you're not this planet anymore. It's over. So you can't let fear dominate you. But at the time, I was labeled typecast, the Hulk. It took a while to get over that.
Do you think that you're still typecast, or are people now looking at your broad range of work and realizing you can do way more?
Not really, because the fact that I could do Gone with the Wind tomorrow, I could play Red Butler, they want to see the Hulk. I just love it because a lot of actors done TV series and they've forgotten. I'm very happy that I've done the Hulk be part of the Marvel Universe. That stays with me forever. But the beauty about it is the fact that everybody may be typecast, but the thing is that it's nice to reinvent yourself. It's fun.
Yeah, it is. And I read that you're going to be promoting a movie next week, I believe. It's a buddy comedy mystery with Jimmy J.J. Walker? Is that what
it's a movie with Jimmy Walker called Forgotten Fortune. Mm-hmm. And it's about this man, basically I won't give away the story, he had Alzheimer's. And people think he's crazy, but it's an interesting story because we're all to be a friend and how we deal with the situation. The beautiful comedy team, and it should be released coming out December the 5th. I'll be filming next week in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
That sounds fun. I definitely want to see that. You've also talked about in the past how the evolution of your fitness journey changes, through the years. You approach your fitness journey differently now than you did 20 years ago, 30 years ago. What's the key thing that has changed for you with regards to your bodybuilding and nutrition and things like that?
Well, at the time I did pumping iron, they didn't have co-ed training at the gym. Like women weren't working out, more like a male sport. Then when pumping iron came out, they put bodybuilding on the map. Because now people get to realize, because in the 40s and 50s, the thing was just smoke, cigarettes, drinking, and they realize the effect has effect on you. But now everyone understands what fitness and bodybuilding is. But you gotta remember the most important thing is you have to take care of your body too, because the fact that if anything happens to your body, you may have your mind, but you can't fix your health. And that's why fitness had changed. You see men, women, kids working out, especially sport, because at the time when that was a whole, that before Sylvester Stallone, Arnold came along, and they changed the image where you could be a bodybuilder, you could have a physique and still be an actor, because back then you had the actor like Dustin Hoffman, normal looking people. But my situation, but then that you have incorporated, you have all these different competitions now, like you have the fitness, the women competing, it's great because men and women train together. All that changed. At the time I did pumping iron, it was unheard of. It was like a strange shadow sport. But I'm glad because today everybody respects fitness and bodybuilding. So that's why we have a lot of obesity in America. We need to change that. Like for example, President Trump just signed the executive order to have fitness back again in schools, high school, and then where you can have fun and then get a chance to challenge your body.
I have a question for you that I struggled to answer myself, so I'm interested in hearing your answer. If there was a film made about your life, who do you think should play you in your younger years during your Hulk years? Besides your son that's cheating.
I think an actor named Joe Macagiano, he was in Spider-Man. He's a young version of me. He's like 40-some years old. He'd be perfect to play.
Yeah.
I plan someday to do a life story. The main ambition for this story, what people see is this, wow, look what this guy achieved. I could do the same thing, because that's why a lot of people get inspired by documentary. Like for example, 2 days ago was Hulk Hogan Day. And Hulk Hogan, apparently, he's been a good friend of mine for 40 years. But look what he's gone through. If you think about the positive, he put wrestling on the map. He was an oversized kid. He used to play the trumpet. When he got involved in wrestling, it was kind of like one of those wrestling shows you watch late at night. But then eventually, with Vince McMahon, he put it on the map. And now everybody respects the wrestlers. Like The Rock now is making like $30-40 million a picture. But who would think of that many years ago? Because wrestling got the respect they wanted. So that's why he had a good life, and he left with a good big bang.
You've done pretty much everything. Is there something that you haven't done yet that you're dying to do before this journey ends for you?
Just continue my life, enjoy every day, and motivating people, and just enjoy every day. I'm 73, enjoy my last chapter, because a lot of people, for example, my theory is that I don't want to sit, lay in bed one day, and then if I'm going to pass on, knowing I can look back and say, I should have. When you say I should have, it's too late. It's never too late to change anything, but I've seen people over the years, they would tell stories about when they were young, they could have done this, but they were too afraid to. That's why life is very short, and that's why you want to just leave this place knowing that you had a good life and you fulfilled everything with your personal power.
Amazing.
Thank you.
I have one last question for you. Of your entire body of work, from Pumping Iron to your most recent film, do you have a favorite of all of your projects that was your personal favorite to perform in and to see as a viewer?
Favorite for performing? I would say probably King and Queen. I like sitcom. Because growing up as a kid, I was such a shy kid, very introverted, and I was always like hidden, you know, always hiding away. People talk to me, I was afraid to talk. But now kind of the opposite, because in life you can't live without people. You thrive on people. You need people in your life. You need a support group. You need people. And that to me is the primary thing, because if you don't have that, then basically you're going to be a very withdrawn person. So that's what I want to eventually do. I'd love to do another sitcom, especially that, you know, because King and Queen, you know, like Friend, they don't have any more sitcoms today, but I hope they can bring that back. Because people still talk about those shows because it's entertainment. Like during the World War II, Hollywood was very known for the entertainment because of people being depressed during the war. That's why we need that entertainment today.
Absolutely. Do we have a question? Yeah, absolutely. We've got time for one last question. Tell us your name.
Hi, my name is Lucy. I had to do the speech therapy routine for a couple of years. I'm just wondering if people treated you differently after you were able to talk better and hear better than they did before.
Oh yes, because before they would activate their speech, talk to me because I didn't hear them. Because my problem back then, I convinced people I had a speech problem, but I didn't have a hearing problem. I want to tell people I had a hearing problem because I want people to think I was stupid, I was dumb, I was slow, and they're being taken advantage of. But since I've changed my speech, everything changed too. But now in our society today, it's okay to talk about that, because if you're going to tell not to tell people you have a hearing problem, you're going to suffer. If I go back in the past, I should have done that. I should have said, listen. Like even today, if I go to a restaurant, very noisy, I need to sit at the end of the table, I can hear everyone. I'm hard of hearing, which is okay. Back then, you know, back many years ago, people looked down on them. Now, at the beginning, people had to wear glasses. Now they have hearing aids. Now everybody understands you have a hearing loss. It's okay. You know, there's no shame to it. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Well, do you have anything that you want to share with us before we end this panel?
I would say if you all have a passion about yourself, embrace your passion. That's the most powerful thing, because passion moves mountains, and health is your greatest wealth. And God bless you. Take care of yourself. Enjoy every day. I love you all. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much. Thank you. He will be back at the table shortly, and then he's got photo ops at 1:30, and then we'll be back at the table. So last chance.